Christmas is nearly upon us, a time for togetherness, for celebration. But we're being warned that it's also a time to remain very, very vigilant. Our terror threat is now severe, but for the first time ever, we're actively being told something very, very serious. It is us on the front line of this now. The terror problem is now so serious and so widespread that police are warning us that it may well be us, the public, who are called into action to prevent a mass casualty situation. Counter-Terror Police's Protect and Prepare officer, Matt Twist, spoke exclusively to our Home and Security editor, Mark White, to say that we all need to be on our toes. It's sad, isn't it, that when you go to Winter Wonderland or another Christmas market, gone are the days of simply taking your child by the hand, getting some roasted chestnuts and mulled wine, going and having a look at Santa's grotto. Now we're in a situation where we have to make a mental note of where the nearest exits are, where security is that bag unattended, is that person behaving suspiciously, and consider whether or not you would fight or flight if a terror attack takes place. I'm not saying this stuff to scaremonger or to try to ruin Christmas, goodness me. This is what we're actually being told right now by the people in charge of our counter-terror operation. There are a few reasons for this. It's now easier than ever to become radicalised, especially online. We locked down for months, and basically that meant that some vulnerable people, or disgusting radical lunatics, depending on which side of that coin you're on, have been trapped in their bedrooms watching material online. Whilst the physical fighting force of ISIS may have slightly diminished, their online radicalisation wing definitely hasn't. This isn't helped by our pretty poor showing in countries like Iraq and Afghanistan and other parts of the Middle East. There are certainly other ways in which we're actually not helping ourselves, or rather, we're not being helped by our government, and I would say parts of the media. Many elements of our media are at pains to go out of their way to tell us that far-right terror is on the march and it's the fastest growing threat in the UK. Well, yes, that's true in a way, but it's starting from a very low base. And the reality is that MI5's broader terror-related watch list contains 43,000 individuals. In 2020, it was reported that the vast majority of these suspects, as many as 39,000, are Islamist extremists. A few thousand were classified as far-right. Research also shows that 75% of those in prison for terror offences are radical Islamists. So that's the main threat, unequivocally. It's from radical Islamism. And then there's the notion, pumped out again by lots of our political community and vast swathes of the media, that what's happening in the Channel, or frankly our current asylum system as a whole, poses no threat to us whatsoever. The bomb blast outside Liverpool Women's Hospital was committed by 32-year-old Ahmad al-Swalmeen, who had first failed in his application for asylum in 2014. During his stay in the UK, he was sectioned under the Mental Health Act for 6 months over a knife-related incident. That highlighted, really, as well, that the Anglican Church just may have been, at best, lax when it comes to helping some asylum seekers scam the system by converting to Christianity. Iraqi teenage asylum seeker Ahmed Hassan was sentenced to life with a minimum prison term of 34 years for planting a homemade bomb on a London Underground train, injuring 51 people in 2017. Recent research by the Henry Jackson Society found that since 1998, around a quarter of foreign nationals convicted for Islamist-related terror offences actually did have an asylum background. Libyan refugee Kari Sadala, who was convicted of a string of criminal offences before stabbing 3 park-goers to death in Reading in 2020, is another one. So there is previous when it comes to some people in the asylum system committing terror attacks in this country. I'm not demonising them, I'm not tarring them all with the same brush, but facts are facts. Those things did happen. And if you look at the fact that we've had more than 25,000 asylum seekers come over the Channel, many of them from countries with a strong radical Islamist presence, dumping their documents en route as well, is it any wonder that we're now being told that we have to remain vigilant and that it may be down to us to stop attacks because our officers are so overstretched? I think it would be nice, frankly, if our government and our border security was as vigilant as we're going to have to be over the festive period.